Welcome Wargamers, my name is Doug with 2+ Tough, and in case you missed it, earlier I did a video talking kind of generally about the Path to Glory campaign system in Age of Sigmar 3.0. What I'm going to do in this video is very slowly, and take my time with it, go through actually creating an order of battle and filling out the campaign information so that we can do it together. So if you have any questions, concerns, or it's confusing to you, if it seems like too much, just go ahead and watch this, and we're going to do it together as I create the narrative for my army going into 3.0, which is going to be Knights Excelsior, because it's set in Gur. It's my favorite realm. I've always said that. So I have lore for my faction, as well as kind of an idea of what they want them to look like. We're going to translate that into a Path to Glory army. So what I would suggest, if this does seem overwhelming to you, but you are excited to get going, go ahead and grab out the relevant sheets. These are available in the back of the core book, or I'm sure they're going to be available online through the Warhammer community page. And pause this video as we go along, and you can have one by the end of it. You'll have everything you need to get started with your Path to Glory army, as well as your campaigns and quests and things like that. So let's go to the downward cam and check it out. So to get going with your Path to Glory system, you're going to need a few things. You obviously need the core book, which walks you through, how to actually build your Path to Glory army. You also need the two sheets from the back. One is your order of battle. This is the actual inventory, campaign progress tracker, as well as what units you have access to, everything like that. Then there is the Path to Glory roster, which is kind of like stepping back from the army and taking a look at your progress as a whole. What territories you have, if you've acquired any special artifacts or anything like that, they go inside your vault right here, as well as battalions you have access to and things like that. These would be really helpful to have, like if you're doing a league at your store, you could take your order of battle home and work on it there, whereas the Path to Glory roster would probably be something you would keep at the store. That way everyone can reference, how far you are with your glory points, your territories you control, what you have access to, stuff like that. And so this is the page that we are going to start with. We're going to start with our names. Doug, for my army name, I already came up with a cool little backstory for these dudes, and they are the Spears of Rime Lake. Go ahead and write that in. Okay, for faction, we're going to go ahead and pick Stormcast Eternals. And for sub-faction, this is where you would choose that, it's Knights Excelsior. Now, you do have to follow all of the rules for your army if you are choosing a sub-faction, meaning if you choose a hero, you get locked into that command trait, the artifact rules, that kind of stuff. So just kind of keep that in mind as you are going. You do not have to choose a sub-faction at all. You can do whatever you want. Now, realm of origin, I'm going to say Gur. These are Huntsmen who are trying to purge the realms of beasts and that kind of stuff. And then you have to determine your starting size. Now, if you watched me in my last video, we talked about this, that if you were to look at the Path to Glory section here, step number 2, starting size, this determines how many territories you start with, how many Path to Glory points you start with, and then the number of units that you can have on your roster at any given time. I'm going to put that off to the side. For this example, I know that I have a local player who likes to do 1,000 point games, so we're going to go with that. We're going to see warband is what that level is called, and I'm just going to put 1k here just as a reminder to myself that this is what that starting size is. Now we're going to look here at our book, and you can see we're looking at one territory because that's what's dictated by the warlord size, and you get to pick. You don't have to roll. Pick a starting territory. Now they allow you to buff things like your hero limit, monster limit, war machines, wizards, priests, how many units can be reinforced, meaning you double the size of the unit, and finally increase your ally limit by 1. Now for me, thematically, with the Spears of Rime Lake, I want to have a lot of Cities of Sigmar units eventually. I want it to be like a mixed, like a crusade of Stormcast Eternals teaching humans to hunt giant beasts and things like that. So I'm actually going to choose Ancient Roads. So I'm going to go over here. Looking at my sheet, we have territories that we control. I'm going to just kind of put NA right now for the name. I didn't come up with a fun name for Ancient Roads, but that's what it is. And it is not upgraded, as we talked about in the last video. So we're all set there. The starting size also dictates how many glory points we start with. If you're playing Warband, 1,000 point level, you start with 8. And there we are. So this actually pretty much completes this worksheet. We're pretty much ready to go. We haven't picked a quest yet, but we'll come back around to that. What we're going to do now is switch to our order of battle. Now, if you're following along with your book, I'm going to just walk through this with you. We chose our faction and our realm. Again, sub-factions, you have to choose any artifacts or command traits that kind of force you into that, so keep that in mind. We chose our starting size and our territories. We assigned how many glory points we have. And now we're getting into the order of battle, so creating our actual list of models. So let's go ahead and jump into that. The first thing we have to choose is our warlord. Now, some of these model choices I've picked because they're kind of ubiquitous. I was sent the Dominion box, so I'm going to use a bunch of units from there and a few units that I already own on the side. But for my warlord, I came up with a little backstory. His name is Eurylos, the Huntmaster, so we'll do that. War Scroll just means what is the actual unit, not what you're calling it. So he's going to be the Lord Imperator, or Lord Imperator, I believe that's what it's called. For his command trait, I am forced into taking the Knights Excelsior one because that's the sub-faction I took, which is Divine Executioner. Now, core enhancements. Essentially, the way that this works is just like you were building a list for matched play, you get to have like artifacts and spells and that kind of stuff. You do have to assign those when you add the unit to your order of battle. So if I want Eurylos to bear an artifact, this is where I would assign it. And so I am going to give him one. I'm going to give him the Knights Excelsior specific one, Chains of Celestial Lightning. Now at this point, he has not been injured, so we're going to skip that. Renown points. Interesting enough, your warlord starts with 15. If you remember from yesterday's video, when you have 15 points on a hero, that's when you get access to a command trait for them. Warlords always start with 15, so that's why he can have a command trait to begin with. Other heroes in the next section down below won't start with any renown, so they don't start with command traits. Makes a lot of sense here. It's just kind of giving a little boost, being like, hey, your warlord would be of some renown. He's in control of some territories, even if it's just a bunch of ancient roads. So that's it for Eurylos the Huntmaster, my Lord Imperator. We're going to move now on to the other heroes and kind of fill this all out. Now, one thing I want to interject in this section here is that for the rest of this order of battle, I'm going to be using the unit sizes and points, the point costs for units as they are at the time of recording. So this is before 3.0's official launch. We know that there's going to be some tweaks to unit sizes, possibly points when new battle tomes and stuff drop. So just kind of work with me there. Again, this is episode 0 for that reason. I put together a 1,000 point list that I'm going to use today. And if points adjustments happen in the future, we'll figure it out then. Again, this is just to help you get comfortable with the act of building an order of battle. So my Huntmaster, Eurylos, is a Lord Imperator. My lore for him is that his mission is to fortify his city, as well as take the fight to the furthest of its borders by whatever means necessary, because he's a Knights Excelsior and they're terrifying people. We're going to look here at the other heroes that are coming with him. We just have one right now, and that is going to be a Knight Arcanum. The name that I've come up with her from the Dominion set is Falca the Sibyl. If you don't know, Sibyls are kind of an ancient European thing where they pick an oracle, like a seer. Her war scroll, Knight Arcanum. Command trait, she does not have one at the moment, so I'm just going to put a little NA there because she does not have enough renown points that we talked about before. For core enhancements on wizards, this is where you would add things like their spells. Now, at this point, we haven't seen the full new Stormcast spell lore or anything like that, so I'm going to pick one from the existing battle tome. We're going to go with Chain Lightning, so let's do that. I think that sounds super cool. And of course, this is in addition to any spells that she already has on her War Scroll or Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, that kind of stuff. This is like if you're building a normal list for matched play, you would have to pick the spell that they're equipped with, that kind of thing. As far as injuries, hasn't been injured yet, has not earned any renown. For the points, I forgot to do this for our boy up top, but I have this little card here from the Dominion box, which has their points totals. Let's do that. So the Lord Imperatant is 160, and the Knight Arcanum is 150. I apologize, I skipped that earlier. So now we're moving into the general, I guess, as you would say, units and stuff like that. Now the order of battle limits, I'm going to put what the starting total is. So we can have a total of 8 units because that's dictated by our starting size of our campaign. For hero units, you can have 3. And remind you, this is all coming from page 307, the starting order of battle limits. Okay, so it is 1 monster, 1 war machine, 1 wizard, 1 priest. Reinforced unit is 1, and allied, it starts at 1, but because of our territory, ancient roads, we can actually have a maximum of 2 now. So that affects things very dramatically, especially if you wanted to create an order of battle that has a lot of monsters or beasts or something like that to create your own custom narrative. Now at this point, we have used 2 hero slots and our 1 wizard, because remember, these are both heroes, but Falca is a Knight Arcanum. She's a wizard. So no more wizards for us until we upgrade our order of battle limits. Now, as for the other units, let's get into this. I made sort of a super derpy 1,000 point list that's trying to reflect the lore of a group of hunters, right? So we have Falca the Sibyl, who is able to scan and see if there's going to be any, orcs or monsters on the horizon, and then below her is going to be a set of sequitors who are going to be led by a stormcast named Aracus, and they are known as Aracus's trackers, essentially using witch sight to track the beasts in the field. So let's do that. Now at this point, Aracus's trackers, they're not veterans, they don't have anything like that. I am not reinforcing them. They have not taken any casualties whatsoever, nor have they earned any renown, and they cost 120 points. That's all there is to it. Now we're just going to do that for the rest of the units here. Next up is going to be the Shields of the Huntsman, and this is a unit of Praetors. These come in the Dominion box as well. Again, they don't have any of these special things because they haven't earned a darn thing yet. And they clock in at 155 points, according to the little pitched battle card they give me. I'm just going to put that right there for my own reference. We also have a pair of Vindictor units that came in Dominion. Put this here. And I'm going to have the Dagger of the left hand and Dagger of the right hand, is kind of be how they're kind of named. And yes, even if you are using the same War Scroll twice, they have to be separate units unless you're reinforcing them, because these 2 units, even though they're the same War Scroll, might accrue casualties differently, so they are completely different. And a unit of Vindictors is unit size 5 dudes, and they are 140 each. And lastly, I have the Hounds of the Hunt, which is a unit of Gryph-hounds. Again, nothing like that. They've accrued nothing special, but Gryph-hounds are clocking in real cheap here at 120 points again. And with that, we have created our entire order of battle. We have the names for all of our units. We've selected our first 1,000 points. Again, remember, your first 1,000 you get basically for free. You don't have to spend glory points to buy them as you would in the future. So this is our starting roster. We have some cool characters. We have our limits kind of written out for everybody to see, and we're ready to start going. Now, the next step for this is to come back to our Path to Glory roster. It just occurred to me I missed naming my stronghold, which I've decided to name the Hunter's Keep. It's like, what do you want to name, your base that your guys are from? Now, next step here is to pick our first quest. The way that this works is we're going to go back to the core book. Boom, right here. And on page 310 and 311, Here are the 8 quests that come in the core book. I'm sure more things will have future quests for you to explore. For me personally, let's see which one I want to do. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to go with search for the artifact. Essentially, we're going to play a few games, try to find an artifact from our battle tome. It's pretty simple. Pick one artifact of power that your faction has access to, which could be the Stormcast Eternals battle tome. It could also be the generic ones that come in the core book section within the core battle page, wherever is that. Yeah, here we go on page 282. These are universal enhancements, so anyone can pick these artifacts here. You do have to select it before progressing on your quest for the sake of making this a little bit future-proof in case the battle tome changes things. Let's pick one of the artifacts from here. I'm going to go with Ancient Tome. The bearer becomes a wizard that knows Arcane Bolt and Mystic Shield spells. They can attempt to cast one spell in your hero phase and attempt to unbind one spell in the hero phase. If the bearer is already a wizard, they can attempt to cast one additional spell instead. So I'm going to hopefully earn that so that Falca can become a much better wizard. So what we're going to do is take our little campaign sheet here. So we're going to take this, our current quest, as well we just called was search for the artifact because they didn't give me enough room. Quest reward, since we do have to choose that. Already forgot the name of it, Arcane Tome. And we've made no progress so far, so we'll just leave it there. And with that, we're ready to go. We don't really need anything else. Just kind of like panning over this, we've selected our army. We've assigned all the artifacts and spells that we have access to, and we've set ourselves up to begin gaming. And so from there on, then we're going to start talking about, upgrades and casualties and that kind of stuff. But honestly, I really want this to be an ongoing segment. So with the exception of points changes, kind of altering my list depending on how that kind of goes when the game fully launches on the 3rd, I'm going to just take this order of battle and start playing games with it. And so we'll basically be doing reviewing games that I played, as well as going through the casualty rolls and that kind of stuff as we go. I'll walk you through the aftermath sequence. It actually goes very, very quickly once you get the hang of it. But friends, that's going to be it for this video. Follow along if you want to see me paint up the spears of Rime Lake as we go, as to more explanations on what I chose for them and their story. Like I said, episode 0 was about making sure that you understand how easy it is to begin a Path to Glory campaign, and hopefully you join along with me. So if you'd like to do that, in the comments down below, tell me what kind of Path to Glory army you are going to be focusing on. Remember that if you have a specific force in mind, like let's say you wanted to go with, my default is Flesh Eater Quartz Crystal Gore, right? Because it just is a far out there list design that uses a lot of monsters. Maybe you can't start initially with the list that you wanted based on, the number of monsters and that kind of stuff in your army, but you'll start pretty close to it and then work your way towards it as you conquer more territories and stuff. So there's a lot of game here. It's quite fun, and I think that you'll enjoy it. So I hope that you follow along with me, and I'd love to read the story of your armies down below. So thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll catch you next time. Happy wargaming.